Hey folks, it's me again. I wanted to post something that was helpful to students last year. And if you've had the opportunity to be around Dr. Littleton, you know what a great asset that she has been for the university. She has retired, but some of this information might still be helpful. So if we can take just a couple seconds and kind of look at this. So again, I already said this, but choose something that's of your interest, the content area, the setting and population that you want to work with. This should be something that you care about. If you're having some trouble kind of considering what you want to do, you could check for some nonprofit organizations in your area. Check out their websites, see what they're into, see what they're working with, and there should be some content information. What we have found out in the past is that usually clinics, hospitals, and even some of the health departments are not a good fit for the students. Um, just because they usually want us to have a project already in place that you can help them out with, or they're not used to having a student in your capacity. And so restrictions, approvals, you're not approved for doing client-related services, things of that nature. So unless you really have a good relationship with someone in these areas, it's best to avoid them. It'll save you a little bit of heartache. Um, we want you to be involved in assessing, planning, and developing a program. And that can be hard sometimes in organizations because a lot of people get their fingers involved on that. However, it is okay for you to adapt or revise an ongoing program as well. You don't have to go through the institutional review board here at ETSU unless you want to. So maybe you're considering that you want to have this published later on, or you want to do a publish findings for an external audience, then you would have to go through the IRB. And if you were going to do that, you would want to do that on the forefront so that they can kind of guide you in that aspect. But you don't have to go through it because we cover this under educational purposes for the class. Now, if you change your mind later, there is a way for you to do that, and you can always do that after the fact. But be thinking ahead about what you want to do. If it's just for these 3 classes, that's fine. But if you're thinking that you might want to take this a little bit further and publish a paper out of it, or show it to external audiences, then consider the IRB because that would be a requirement. If, however, you are someone working at a health department or you're a GA, this might be a slightly different story because we have had some good experiences with students who were a part of this. This is a 3-semester assessment. Keep that in mind. Planning and implementation. So getting a good stakeholder off of the bat is really important. You want somebody who's going to be responsive to replying to emails and is willing for you to come in and to do activities. We usually implement these projects in October in the 5130 class for about a month, so the scale's not really that long or that huge, and it's usually manageable. If you're here in the Johnson City area, we have had some success with University School, some of their wellness classes, so that would be somebody to reach out to. Some of the local schools are good. Dr. Littleton is from the Unicoi County area, so if that's something that you want to work with, you could contact her and she might be able to make an introduction for you because she does sit on the health council there. Nonprofits. So you could consider places like Senior Citizens, Boys and Girls Club. Again, if you're here or around the ETSU campus, you can look at doing things through the counseling center. Bucky's Food Pantry. We do have several organizations, even like the Muslim Community Organization, the Farmers Market. There is information listed out there regarding for homeless populations. If you are an MPH MD student, Karen is a good person to work with on Trilogy projects, and there's some information listed there. And it can be good to partner with other people who might have better contacts. So if you're in pharmacy, Pharmacy Fellows and Opiate Projects or Connections have been working on. You don't have to work on this project alone, but for those of you online, unless you're in the same area, it's going to be very difficult for you to get together and do these. But we have had some success. If you wanted help, you can work with 2 people working on the same project. If it's more than that, it tends to be hard to set up meetings and such. Also, if you're looking for advice, faculty have various areas of interest that could be helpful to you. Dr. Slauson, the department head, her interests are related to nutrition. Dr. Baker does things with skin cancer, the women's health initiatives, and through social media. Dr. Littleton has retired. My interest happens to be with HIV and AIDS. And Dr. Quinn in our EPI department, she does a lot of work with adverse childhood experiences. And so it's good to think about this ahead of time and what comes next, as your partner needs to realize that you're going to be working with them for 3 semesters. So it's a commitment on your part, and it's also a commitment on their part as well. Which, they like that. We don't want to be that type of project where you come in, get the data, and leave. We want to be able to give a deliverable back to the community. That's what's important here, and that feeds into a lot of what we consider to be important in community and behavioral health. We want to be parts of communities. I don't think that she would have an issue if you had some questions for her regarding some of what she's doing or with the Health Council, but she is no longer here with us in the main building. So that would be something to keep in mind as well too. And lastly, I did want to share, this is something that you could consider. Let me put this over here. Here we go. All right. And so this goes along with some of the lecture notes that are listed out there for this week. We're pretty good self-explanatory. So what you're going to look at, sometimes data triangulation is going to be important. So now, for purposes of this class, you are going to be doing some primary data collection. So you're already going to be doing this, where this is going to be some of those perceptions and where you can learn about the community and find out what's actually going on. So maybe you're going to do a key informant interview. Maybe you're going to do a semi-structured interview. Maybe you're going to do some focus groups. Those would be kinds of things. And so that would be something to kind of keep in mind to for what you're going to do. You are also going to be using some secondary data sources. So it's also one of the reasons why we were asking for you to go out and take a look at Healthy People 2020, because that's really a good site for you to go to. Gives you information on your population of interest, and because you do want to consider that, because how can you really effectively help and be a part of a community if you don't know anything about them? So your data sources are listed out there. So you're going to explore this through the literature, through peer-reviewed literature. You're going to look at data sources and some evidence-based ideas to learn more about the population, some of the problems that are affecting the population, and they'll even give you some possible solutions. So that's out there. And then part of that triangulation process can also involve observation, which you'll be doing this semester as well too. So maybe if you're working with a particular group of people, they give an example here: visiting local clinics and counting the number of clients served in a day, going to a farmer's market and listing things of produce. So sometimes direct observation is a good thing. And the reason why we have more than one source of information, it's kind of like with journalism. The more sources of information that you can have to kind of build your case and corroborate, the better off that you're going to be. So primary data, secondary data, sometimes through observation as well. So maybe that's helpful too. We're not at the point where you do have to pick a particular topic or a project, but what we always find out, what happens is that we run out of time, because we're on this is 3 semesters, but this class is only for 1 semester, and you will find out very soon that having people return emails and phone calls, and they have other lives, and their time frame is not really our time frame. So we want to be available to them. You're always trying to build in more time than you actually think that you need, because things can change at the last minute. So it's going to be important for you to find a stakeholder. It's going to be important for you to find a key informant, and it's going to be important for you to decide upon a topic and then look for ways for you to gain entree into the community. So that's what that's what we're talking about for this week. That's the things that we want you to consider. Please take a look at your book. Please take a look at what your readings are. Please take a look at the items that are listed out here. And I will be looking at your assignment 1 this week, so I should be giving you some feedback there. If you have questions or concerns, please reach out to me. I hope everybody has a good week. Thank you.